Cherie's mom, Sherry French, was a registered nurse as well and real estate professional who died in an Indiana hospital in 2022 after being hospitalized off and on since 2017. Cherie believes that the treatment that her mom received at the hospital is the cause of her death. And she wants to get the word out about how she believes Black women in particular are treated when they are hospitalized. So please share with the viewers and listeners what happened to your mom. Why was she first hospitalized to begin with? And what do you believe happened during the course of her care?
Our journey began in 2017 when she was first misdiagnosed in the network she was working in, one of the large networks here in Indiana. We then transferred to the second network, which is the largest here in Indiana. And within a week of that misdiagnosis, actually that first visit, the oncologist actually was able to make a diagnosis. And within a week, we were going for stem cell and chemo. And so she was diagnosed at that point with multiple myeloma. So that takes us into 2018, where we now are managing this disease process. She got better. And then we're hospitalized late 2018. At that time, we have a second misdiagnosis, and that diagnosis ended up staying with us until her passing. So that was systemic mastocytosis. In 2021, in this second network, still, she had a stroke and experienced some very tragic care. And I will use that lightly because also around that time, everyone may remember Dr. Susan Moore.
Dr. Bannock, Bannec, wanted to send me home. You know, at that time, I'd only received 2 treatments of the remdesivir. He said, you don't need it. You're not even short of breath. I said, yes, I am. Then he went on to say, you don't qualify.
And that was the physician here in Indiana that had recorded, you know, her experience and then later passed during COVID. Well, my mom wanted to reach out to the CEO of that network and have some very bridge making, if you will, conversations. She wanted to advocate for Dr. Moore, as we remember the statement stated that she must have intimidated her staff. So within 2 months of her passing, we had experienced much of the same. And it had already been rough. So we wanted to kind of offer our support from a patient perspective. My mother, you know, specifically being an advocate, wanted to ensure that these things, you know, didn't continue. So I find a video after her passing where she recorded herself prior to this meeting with the CEO. And she's basically talking about how once, you know, you cross this bridge, once you make this step, that things start to happen with your healthcare. And the reference or analogy she actually used was, you know, that African-American women are to healthcare as to Black men and police brutality.
In about an hour, I'm going to be speaking with Dennis Murphy and Doug. I don't remember his last name, but he's the president of IU, and this is one of a series of meetings that I hope to have about healthcare in general, more specifically about the failures that occurred at my last hospitalization and going back to 2017. This is the right thing to do. I am putting myself on the line to do this.
And so she was very fearful, very fearful. And she voiced that she was afraid that after speaking up and out, that she would begin to hear stories about how, you know, there's nothing else we can do, withdrawal of treatment, et cetera, et cetera.
Was there ever a point that you found any advocate inside the medical system where your mom was who was willing to stand up and say, we'll help you?
No.
Not a single person, not an African-American doctor. There are Black doctors at this hospital too, right?
Yes, and some nurses as well. The majority of the experiences we had with the Black professionals was more of a condescending, I mean, I'll just have to flat out say it was more of a gatekeeping technique where we send people in that look like you, that, have, your same level of education, maybe, social economic status. And they come and they just articulate what it was that, someone else wanted to share. And that was part of the reason why I had vowed not to leave her side.
Yeah, and I didn't ask that question about a person being Black naively thinking that just because someone
Right.
is Black, the saying
Yep.
all skin folk and kinfolk, but we also know
Right.
that African Americans get in systems and they become, more committed to upholding the system,
Exactly.
and they are in many ways, indistinguishable from other folks working in the system. So what we're talking about are systemic issues, and no matter whether you're Black, brown, or whatever, if you're working in a racist system, in a system that is biased, it's very difficult. And sometimes people of color want to fight against those systems, but I would imagine you see this, Dr. King, as well, that when they do speak up, when they try to buck the system, they face such dire consequences. They may be disciplined, they may be fired, they may be blackballed in a community.
As
Yeah.
I was, as I
Yeah.
was.